way too late.
Really?
Yeah.
Drinking? Damn it,
No,
Blake.
just like working because
Working.
my brain starts working and I can't go to sleep.
That's not as fun as drinking, my friend. What are you just doing? Just up there? No, I just got off the motorcycle. By the way,
I love it.
I rushed back.
You're a motorcycle guy. What do you got?
I just roll a Honda Rebel.
Like it. I have a scooter, not nearly as cool, but I don't ride it much anymore.
I want to upgrade to an Indian. I've been talking about buying an Indian Scout for the past decade, but
Yeah,
it hasn't happened.
Those are awesome.
I have a minivan.
Yeah, me too. I've got a Jeep too, but yeah.
Do you ride on top of it?
Of the minivan?
Yeah.
I probably could if my garage wasn't so small.
But you just sort of drive outside of the garage, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if you know how those things work, Yergz. It's okay. Yeah, and we saw your Jeep, sir.
That's true. So, yeah, because I forgot I did the remote.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we saw his Jeep. Yeah. So
the 2014, right?
2010.
2010. Oh, vintage.
Yeah.
Got the historical plates on it.
Yeah, not quite that.
No. Oh. You don't want to see the cars I used to drive.
Are they good or bad in a bad way?
They were good then. I mean, I've done, when I was a baseball umpire, I had a station wagon.
Nice.
And that was cool because we carried all our gear with us as we drove around the minor leagues. I wanted a minivan because that's what the guys in the upper level in the minor leagues were issued. Like each crew was given a minivan. Like, please. But yeah, anyway. So today we got a pile of things to talk about. We talked about, this is totally kind of a little bit off the cuffish, but we talked last week about I gotta do this here. We talked last week about how nobody wants Trump and nobody wants Biden.
Very few people do, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, by and large, yeah. What do you think of this guy's? Oh, I'm not sharing the screen either. What do you think of this guy's future in the Democratic Party?
Matt, I feel like you should take that first. Pete Buttigieg,
great messenger. I think he's going to go far.
What about the overall leadership? Because what I liked about him, before I even knew he was gay, by the way, before I even knew he was gay.
Is he your type? Successful? Yeah, kind of boyish looks.
Plays
an age pretty well.
I'm not going to kick him out of bed for eating crackers.
Is that what you guys call it? You guys get in there and eat crackers? Is that what you guys do in there?
This is turning into a different show now. All of a sudden.
Well, I mean, look, Blake. Here's we have the opportunity to understand like how the LGBTQ community talks and how to address these things, appropriately. And so now that I know, you get in bed and eat crackers.
Before you joined, Blake and I were talking about code and about all the different flags and what I think some of them stand for, what he doesn't think they stand for yet, and so on. Let's listen to Pete. See what you guys think of him.
There's a more superficial political pattern that I think has driven some of the politics of the behavior of people like these people in Florida that don't say gay bill. And that is, when all you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a culture war. So you got a political faction that really doesn't have a lot of answers for many of the questions that people are wrestling with. They love talking about gas prices. They don't have an answer on gas prices. They don't have an answer on inflation. Many of them answered our call for bipartisan infrastructure work with a no. Haven't seen an answer on what to do about the price of prescription drugs. They voted against lowering that. Don't have an answer on what to do about the cost of childcare. Don't have a great answer on taxes. Actually want to raise taxes for the poor. That's a new one. I thought I'd seen it all. Then I saw Senator Scott's proposal to raise taxes for the poor. That's not great territory for them to be debating on. So what do? They find somebody vulnerable and pick on them, which at the moment is largely the trans community. And they find something to talk about, which can go between the laughable, like is Donald Duck going to make your kid gay, to the incredibly dark, which is the suggestion that the very presence of someone who is gender nonconforming or trans or gay or lesbian or otherwise different, the very existence of somebody like that is an adult subject, right? That if my kids in, let's say, a first grade classroom were to mention in passing that over the weekend they had a great time going with their dads to the zoo, that they would have somehow, by saying that, uttered something age inappropriate and get us really fired up about that fight.
He's just a great messenger. Honestly, he's just an amazing messenger. I almost like want to know like what his regimen is, because if he did that off the cuff, I'd be pretty impressed. But obviously that's practice rehearsed with some talking points. But he's gonna go far with being able to calmly explain things like that, and he made a lot of good points. About these different things.
They're all like actually current too, is what's scary.
I don't think he had. I mean, I have a different opinion of him. I think that he's not. I don't think he has that bright of a future, because I don't think there's any appetite for that kind of politician, frankly. Like, he's pretending everything he said is only applicable to the right, that everything he said there is applicable to the left, but if you just change a couple subjects. Like, we are in this thing where we want the most bombastic, and when I say flamboyant, I mean like flame throwing to the other side. Like, we don't want.
You know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Know what you're saying. We know what you're saying, Mr. Christian flag guy.
No, I'm saying he's not bombastic enough, like, to make it in politics these days.
No, I agree with what you're saying, Blake. But I disagree. But I agree and I disagree. I don't think that he is going to be bombastic enough to make it, get the headlines. But I do think he's going to go really far. He already went really far in the Democratic Party. Like, there's not many places up he can go. So I think he's going to be there for a long time, making policy decisions and in leadership, 100%.
Yeah, I'm not as president, though. I mean, I don't see him being president.
Probably not, but vice president.
I couldn't just. First of all, he's young, so he's got plenty of time. I mean, if we can take a 78-year-old or an 81-year-old and narrow it down to those two, he's got plenty of time to prove everybody wrong.
But like, why do Democrats love these people that have zero experience, sort of empty?
He doesn't. He was.
What are you talking about? What's zero experience, Blake? What are you talking about?
He was the mayor of South Bend, Indiana. That's not a lot of experience for being like people. And they did this.
I just don't get that. Like, it's interesting, like, because everybody wants to talk about like all this experience, but this experience is this arbitrary number or name or whatever. We just say experience. Barack Obama, everybody said zero experience. Honestly, my favorite president, best president of my lifetime. You could disagree. Fine. I know, exactly. That is fine.
Yeah.
That is
because you're a Republican.
Fine. No, it's because I don't think people that are senators for less than 4 years before they become president have really the experience to be the president. I don't think he was very good at the job of being the leader of the executive branch. And I think governors tend to do better.
He did an excellent job.
I saw it firsthand. You're wrong.
Absolutely.
I don't to say it. I saw it firsthand.
You can't say my opinion. I mean, we say we differ on opinions, but I don't think.
No, your opinion is wrong.
That's one where I'm going to say.
How many Democrats are disappointed? What did he get? Obamacare and then nothing else. He got wiped out in 2010. That's all he got was Obamacare, which really has not solved the problem that it claimed it was going to solve. Do you really think
it solved my parents' problem? It solved my parents' problem. My dad was self-employed for most of all of my adult life and part of my school years. My mom worked part-time at an oil company. Both had decent insurance. Okay, dad's being that he's paying for it as his own employer. As Obamacare came along, which by the way should be called Clinton Care, because Hillary was literally laughed off Capitol Hill when she was the first lady and said this needed to happen. And now here we are. But with Obamacare, my parents have one policy now, joined together for less money with better coverage for both of them.
It did not. It's called the Affordable Care Act. It did not make care more affordable. It made it more accessible to some people, but it's made it more.
Told you it did.
No. I'm not saying it didn't do make some things better for some individuals. It did not help the cost of healthcare. Healthcare costs have only risen since then exponentially, like they were beforehand. We've got a mess.
Every cost has risen exponentially.
No. But health. You look at healthcare specifically.
Look at
and education.
No,
and
healthcare,
housing
education.
prices, and there's a lot, man. Don't cherry pick it. Come on,
I'm not cherry picking it.
It was a bipartisan compromise that is exactly what it wasn't. It wasn't what Obama actually wanted. It wasn't what Clinton wanted. It wasn't what we wanted in the first place. It got stripped by the insurance companies, or else it wasn't going to get through Congress. And honestly, it was a Band-Aid, but the Band-Aid was better than the open gaping wound that we had before.
Right.
Maybe
and Obama said
but that's not a huge accomplishment, guys. That's not going to the freaking moon. He put a Band-Aid on health insurance.
I think it's better. Honestly, I think it's better than the moon because it actually kept people on their health care, to be honest with you. Even though I like the moon a lot better.
Y'all are delusional that it solves the problem. I don't think healthcare
didn't solve the problem.
No, it didn't solve the problem.
Didn't solve the problem.
I know, but my point is, so what is his major accomplishment?
It was a very important step forward from Hillary being laughed off Capitol Hill to the step that we have now.
What do you think?
If it was so bad, then why didn't Trump repeal it like he said he was going to when he had control of both sides of the House?
No, keep in mind, I'm not saying it's so bad. I'm saying it's not evidence that he was a great president. He didn't get that much accomplished. I think he was
okay. So wait. We're talking about an abstract right now, right? And
Yeah.
if I'm looking back, even to as far as I can remember back, and actually maybe have some kind of understanding of what these presidents did, going back to Clinton, can we actually nail down what each president did that we say, oh, they were a good president? Have we had a good president? My guidelines of what a good president was how it affected me when I was living abroad and so on and so forth. The way that the United States was viewed with a Barack Obama as a president when I was living in China, traveling Asia, in Taiwan, was way different than a Bush, than a Trump. They loved that guy.
That's just
and for me being
because he's a cool guy. That's nothing to do with
half of the job is perception.
No, it does for them.
Half of the job is perception.
It shouldn't be about perception. That's what I'm saying.
It shouldn't
be about your executive.
It absolutely is.
But that's
absolutely
that's what's wrong with the presidency, and that's why Pete Buttigieg will never be president. Is because it is about a cool factor. It has nothing to do with anything else. Donald Trump is not qualified to be president, but he's got some it factor that makes people think that he's a god among men, and it's ridiculous. And Obama is the exact same freaking thing with the Democrats. Y'all thought he was the second coming of Jesus Christ.
I didn't. No, I didn't. I was for Hillary. Not only because of the fact that I was on her detail at the time, not only because I was on her detail at the time, and it would have also got me to the White House, but
I know. But I'm not saying
the moment that changed me about her, I wasn't for her at first. The moment that changed me about her, we were at some rich guy's place in McLean, Virginia, right outside the CIA, and he's having this high dollar fundraiser in his backyard. I'm standing in the guy's flower bed behind a tree trying to hide.
Were you peeing?
Comes over. What's that?
No, nothing. Go ahead.
He comes. The owner of the house comes over and starts talking to me. I think he's going to chew me out for standing in his flower bed. All he does, he says, "It'll be so nice to have her back." I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, "Oh, she was the brains behind Bill's administration." Fast forward to one of my times on Bill. He's telling a story about how he got voted out of governor in Arkansas. He's sitting in a diner with a farmer. And I don't know the exact particulars, but in short, he says to the guy, "What did I do wrong?" And it was something about taxes on small businesses such as farms, family-owned farms. He said, "So if I change that, would you vote for me again?" Farmer said, "Absolutely." Immediately. He gets up, goes to a payphone, calls Hillary, and says, and I quote, "Hillary, we're running again." Barack was not for me, and a lot. I think a lot of the younger crowd got behind him for the obvious reasons. He's the black guy. He's the cool new thing.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not exciting. I'm saying I don't think he lived up to the expectations that were set leading into 2008's election. People thought he was going to be like what people think about Trump, people thought about Obama. And I think
No,
that a lot of people no, I'm saying the cult-like following, there were Obama flags. I think Trump flags and Obama flags are equally creepy. They're weird to me that we worship.
That's called a presidential campaign. Biden doesn't have them now because he doesn't need them.
No, I think it's because there was a different.
No, Biden needs them. He doesn't have them because he's running a shit campaign.
No one liked Biden like they liked Obama. That is, I mean, to pretend that people are excited about Biden like they were about Obama. I'm saying Obama.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But so, I think the choice is that obvious right now. But the big difference between Obama and Trump is a huge micromanager. He's got, and that's why, he's the boss. That's why he wants to be a dictator. That's why he's stupid enough to actually allow himself to say that.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I mean, you're right.
I've seen it.
Yeah, all that's correct.
Obama would, his staffer, Deemer, what do we got going on with the next place? Well, there's this issue. He said, fix it.
Yeah, I see. I just don't think Obama. I don't.
By the time we got to that next place, Matt Deemer had the authority and the autonomy to get whatever the issue at that place was fixed, so the site was, ready to go.
I think you say that. Tell me what the accomplishment was, though. Other than Obamacare, tell me the big Obama accomplishment that happened in his 8 years in office.
He was blamed for the 2008 real estate crash when he wasn't even president yet.
I don't know that that's a fair assessment that he was blamed for that. That happened before he took office.
I heard people say it.
It was before the election.
Exactly my point. Well, my point.
But just because some people say that I don't think that's the widespread belief. But my point is that I don't think he was as accomplished as people thought he is. I think that most of the really liberal people have been disappointed by the things that he did not get to accomplish.
I agree. Look, 2008 was the time that we could have codified abortion. Totally dropped the ball there because they still use it as a political wedge.
Right, but
absolutely. And there's a lot of other things. What I'm saying is, throughout the time since I've been alive, this person made us, I guess, very palatable, very respected around the world, and going around the world at that time was a breeze. Why? Because he worked with people, he had a good perception, and I think that things did get passed. You know who didn't like Barack Obama and what the wedge was? Is because they just didn't like him. They didn't like him.
I think that's fair. I think a lot of people
and so with that, you had this kind of birther thing, this these other kind of movements that totally try to wedge it. I mean, it was
can
politics.
We take away that the birther movement is a pretty small movement, and most of the stuff. Here's the problem that I have with Obama.
But we can't because that is the foundation of where we're at now, of the shitty politics that we're in.
Look,
this is where we started saying hey, this is when we had people like McCain go no, he's not a Muslim, he's not this, he's not a terrorist.
Right.
To go when he pushed back on this, for that to now springboard where we are now, where that's acceptable.
No, but here's my problem. I'm trying to say he was not a good president objectively by the way he did the job and his accomplishments. And I hate his foreign policy was the worst of any president, I think, in my lifetime, other than maybe now Joe Biden. And Joe Biden is the only reason he got stuff done in Congress, because Obama wasn't willing to work with people in Congress. Joe Biden was the one out there shaking hands, making deals in the Senate and stuff because he had been a senator for so long. Joe Biden gets the credit for any legislative accomplishments that Obama got.
Imagine being the boss, hiring a good guy so you can get your job done, and then them saying, "Oh, you're just shit at your job."
No. But my point is that
imagine that. Imagine getting the number 2 to go do the thing that you need him to do. He does the thing that you need him to do, and you're like, "Oh, well, he's not good at it, so therefore he's shit."
But Obama was messing up that process. You read about it. You look at all the retrospectives when people are finally being honest after someone's out of office, because the liberal press is never going to talk about crap that's going on while it's happening.
By the way, are we on the radio?
Probably. I would hope.
Are we on the radio? I don't even know if we're on the radio. Are we on WWPR or anything?
Yeah, no cursing.
Yeah,
yeah. It's not me.
Well, I know. I'm making sure.
My point is that you read these retrospectives and they're like, Obama thought he could just get his way and it didn't work. And actually pissed off even Democrats in the Senate because he was like, they were like, we're not getting calls. No one's calling me to ask for help and stuff. And it was Biden that built that bridge back.
Sure.
In any of his stuff. So my point is that means he's not very good at the job. Clinton was incredible at that.
That's no, you're really cherry picking.
I'm
you
not
know what?
cherry picking.
There's a lot of things that I'm not good at, and that's why I get other people to do it.
No,
people would say, well, he's crap at that, so therefore he's bad. No, that's why I got this guy to do it.
Delegation is one thing, but when you're the president, you are not really doing the things that you claim you're going to do. Everything has to go through Congress. So your job as president,
I don't think there's been many major accomplishments from any president for the past 30 years, and we're now and so, huh?
I disagree.
Okay,
I mean,
name them.
I think we
name the ones that you would say, oh, these are the big accomplishments that we got. Is it the infrastructure bill? Is the Build Back Better? Is it what is it?
I would say that Bill Clinton was the best at actually seeing where public opinion was, what stuff needed to get done, and then working with literally bipartisan stuff. I think that really, and George Bush got some of that because of post 9/11, some kind of stuff that was bipartisan. But for the most part, everyone is only interested in swinging for the fences. And that's why it feels like we don't have any major stuff that happens, because Obama decided to go all in on Obamacare because he had to. And he realized that was the only thing he would be able to accomplish. And they're willing to do that. And Trump did the same thing with the tax cuts. When people are like, Trump can do everything, I'm like, I say the exact same thing about him. No, he went all in on one thing and got nothing else done.
That's kind of what I'm saying too. And if we're talking about who passed the most things that actually we can name, honestly, maybe it's just because of our memory, Biden has passed a lot of bills. Now, if you agree with the passing of them or the spending or what they were for, is two different things.
Yeah.
The Biden administration was pretty effective, has been pretty effective.
I would say more so than Trump's for sure, as far as getting stuff passed. But I disagree. I think most of the stuff.
I mean, and again, I'm not a fan of Biden. I don't think he should be running again, even as a Democrat. I don't want him there. But I mean, if you want to talk about just like who's getting the things done, Biden has passed quite a few major and very substantial packages that are now being. And here's the thing: is all the Republicans that are, and this is what Buttigieg just said. He's like, they're talking about infrastructure, and the Democrats passed that, and now all the Republicans, even my congressman right now, is putting money into our district on the backs of Democrats and Joe Biden passing these measures, and so
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, here's the problem.
So is Biden the best in the past 30 years?
No, but
what were you doing, by the way? Where were you? Were you doing your taxes down there?
Let me jump in about that a minute. With the infrastructure thing, Biden ran saying that he was going to be a president for everybody. And when the infrastructure bill got passed, the first people to benefit from it were the Republican districts that voted
100%,
against it.
100,000%.
Well, yeah, and this is how
they went and tried to claim it that they were the ones that got it passed.
100,000%.
Including my ass out of a representative, Gus Borakis.
My congressman is sending mailers right now saying how much money he's bringing back to the district, even though it's the money that was passed by the infrastructure bill that he voted against.
Right, which is the gross of this. That's the grossest of the politics that we have now. That's what's so.
Actually,
gross.
I don't know. Let me take that back. I don't know if he voted against it, to be honest with you, because he's only.
I have that list if you want it.
So I have to.
But to me, that's the difference. That's what changed from the '90s to now. Is that in the '90s, Bill Clinton said like he realized he was not going to get reelected if he didn't play ball with some of this stuff, because you've got a Republican Congress, and you know what, they did a bunch of stuff. Now, I mean, like we can obviously talk about the differences between whether we like those things or we don't like those things, but it truly was bipartisan in the nature that it wasn't like someone was pretending that Clinton's thing was bad and then voting for it, and then they really were all. I mean, there was something to be said about. I would take all the pork back. I would take all the pork back in the world to get people to actually work together again. Because I think that was the part. It was like we thought earmarks were so bad, but I mean, there's such a small part of the budget. If it got things done, I'm willing to have them happen. But the problem now is that Pete Buttigieg in that speech, going back to the speech, is that first of all, I hate crap like that has the inspirational music behind it. You're trying to make it feel like we've got trying to conjure up these feelings like, oh my God, this is a speech from Rudy. It's ridiculous. But the substance of it, the Democrats are responsible for almost every problem getting worse about that he was talking about in that clip. The reason we have high cost of everything is because Biden's the stimulus that he passed that he didn't need to pass caused inflation to go out of control. And that is a fact, okay? Every economist will say that spending was unnecessary and put us in a further inflationary period. That's the reason the cost went up. And
the $10 trillion of tax breaks to the rich had nothing to do with it?
I'm not saying it. No, Trump was inflationary too, and I've never said he wasn't. Biden added to it.
Then let's talk about Trump for a minute.
No, but hold on.
Biden has the worst foreign policy.
Hold on. Let me finish. But hold on, let me finish the thing. My point is that yes, Republicans on the MAGA right are this culture war stuff is ridiculous, which is why I don't cover this stuff in my show, because I don't think it's actually worthwhile. However, the left always starts the culture war stuff and pretends the right did it. The trans stuff is a great example of
another example, and I was there for this at Obama's first inauguration. I'm standing on Capitol Hill in like a backstage area when someone who's now one of his best friends walked past me and said out loud, "My job is to F Obama." That was John Boehner.
Okay,
way before that's the partisan crap.
But my point,
way before the MAGA
that happens everywhere. You don't think Nancy Pelosi said the same thing about Donald Trump? My point is, like, that's the gross partisan politics that we have going now. And my point, I'm calling it out.
Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer sat in the Oval Office with him and tried to explain how they're trying to work together.
I know, but you're just
Trump shot him down.
I just love that both of you guys are giving every Democrat every benefit of the doubt of not being partisan and every Republican not. And look,
whoa,
guys.
No,
nobody said that, bro. Come on,
you're saying
you're being a little unfair today, man. Are you
Obama
monster drinks? What are you doing?
What I think is one of Obama's biggest strategical blunders is that, as any president really can, he went far left in his second term. Because why not? He's not going to be voted for a third one.
But what would be your example of that? I feel like he disappointed most
gay marriage
people. But that's
gay
not
marriage.
That's a Supreme Court decision.
Do you think he didn't force that?
The president doesn't control the Supreme Court, guys.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying how they force the issue and bring cases like that through the Justice Department.
I know, but that wasn't through the Justice Department, was it? I don't think that was a U.S. Justice Department thing. My point is,
I think it had something to do with what got it there was the trespassing.
My point is, people are disappointed in Obama because he didn't go far left enough. That's why I think you saw the backlash, not backlash, just a disappointment. I'm not saying people on the left hate him,
but Christian conservatives are just as pissed off at Bush for not going far right enough. Yes.
I don't think I think that most people that had problems with Bush in conservative land was because he wasn't very conservative when it came to fiscal stuff at all. I mean, I think Bush kind of started the incredible amounts of spending that every president that's followed.
He had to finish his dad's job and get the Iraqi guy. I'm brain farting.
I don't think that's not really the spending problem. That's a spending problem, but that's not the spending problem that he spent a lot of money on other things that had nothing to do with Iraq. And I think that George W. Bush started a spending problem that then Obama continued, and then Trump continued, and Biden has continued, that now has us in $32 trillion in debt. And I think when Bush took office, it was 3. I'd have to look that up.
When Bush took office, there was a surplus.
No. That was just budgetary. That was not. We were in debt still.
We're in debt. Yeah.
The annual budget has a surplus, but not. But that was the last year we had a surplus was 2000. And to be fair, some of it obviously out of every president's control. My only point in all of this is to say that what Pete says there is kind of. It's the same thing. It's saying it's what the right does with the left and the left does with the right. It's a gross mischaracterization of everyone on a side that says like everything's a hammer, so everything's a culture war. No, there's a lot of people that actually are trying to say like, here's an actual issue we care about, and here's the thing we care about. Yes, there's the culture war stuff. Yes, that mostly happens on YouTube and in like Fox News and stuff. I don't think that's the majority of the country, just like I don't think the far left version of that is the majority of the country. And I think that we end up in this kind of like him calling out the culture war is, I think, just as much like he's as involved in the culture war as as anyone else is in politics proper. Not like, I'm not saying he's Tucker Carlson. I'm not saying that at all. But there's a tendency on the left to pretend that everyone on the right is just the, and to be fair, they're not wrong in the sense that Republican Party has been taken over by Trump, and most MAGA people cannot tell you anything about policy because Trump can't tell you anything about policy. And I think that's a fair assessment. But I just think that some of his rhetoric is kind of empty. It doesn't really mean anything to me because he's not calling out anything that's that, like, most of those things have been worse because of Biden's policies. And for Republicans to point that out is not culture war. That is saying you've made it worse and we don't like you. And that's why Biden's not popular.
But wait, I think you're being unfair there because he's not calling out. There's nothing he was calling out. He was calling out the "Don't Say Gay" bill in Florida, and about him being in a wait. Give me a second.
He didn't say anything like that. It shouldn't even to keep calling it that. That's my point. That is the culture war escalating. Everyone calling it the "Don't Say Gay" bill when it didn't have the word "gay" anywhere in it. I'm not saying I agree with you, but I'm saying it was mischaracterized. I think it was a bad bill. But I don't think it was a "Don't Say Gay" bill.
No, okay, fine.
Right
Again, you're really
as a gay man living in Florida, I promise you, it was "Don't Say Gay." Because one of the other things I've got,
where it says that, Yergz, it doesn't say.
I'll show you in what's going on right now. Next week starts Pride Month. Next week starts Pride Month globally.
Show me in that bill, Yergz. I'm not talking about.
Stop a minute. Next week starts Pride Month globally. Every year since it was fixed, the bridge, the Tampa Bay Bridge, the Skyline Bridge between St. Pete and Bradenton was lit up in rainbow colors. Guess what's not happening this year?
I'm not saying
because our closeted gay governor.
See, I think that's a dumb smear to do too. Honestly,
no.
Okay. But here's my problem.
No straight guy worries about how whether or not he's got to wear heels to appear taller.
Hey, you know what? The taller
no straight guy,
race. It's
no straight guy allows his staff to put on bright white mud boots to go to a construction site after a hurricane.
Yergz, do you not understand that what you're doing is adding to this culture war that lets DeSantis get away with the crap that he gets away with? Because
we cannot have the bridge in rainbow colors this year because
there's no. Are you trying to say, Yergz, that DeSantis eats crackers in bed? Is that what you're trying to say? With
not
his big
in my
white
bed.
Boots?
Not in my bed.
Here's my problem with all of this is that these kind of accusations are what inflame this culture war that Pete Buttigieg is talking about on the thing. Why go further than you need to? I think Ron DeSantis has bad authoritarian tendencies. I think he's too online. I think he's way too into the culture war stuff. I think all of that is true. I don't think we have to go to the point to say that he's a closeted gay guy. I just think that that's a silly thing to go after.
Oh, come on, man. It was a joke, man. You are really getting sensitive today. Give me a second. But give me a second. Can we just back up? Can we just please back up to what Buttigieg says and why he's saying what he's saying? He is a gay man in a relationship with, obviously, with a man where his kids have two dads. And he is basically making the point that talking about the relationship, the family structure that he has at home, which I bet is very successful, same with a lot of people around the country, this is something that people are looking at as something that is inappropriate and age inappropriate to be said to among his friends. My two dads is a bad thing. This is the overall point of his speech. And to try to color it with saying like, oh, well, he said, don't say gay, that's exasperating, or this, or he's talking about infrastructure bills and, that's not a really good policy, is trying to demean and undermine the exact thing what he's trying to say is like, my family and my life and the thing that I'm trying to build is at jeopardy. It is being threatened and it's being targeted.
Matt,
and if we keep coloring the exact thing what he's trying to say with all this other BS that we're trying to say, that's trying to dismantle what he's trying to say, then we have the problem with with the policies that we're trying to pass.
Show me in the bill where it said anything like that. It didn't say anything like that.
It doesn't matter if it said gay or not. It doesn't matter, but it is absolutely being targeted.
It doesn't.
Guys,
it doesn't. And because you're talking about us building up this culture war by making accusations that everybody else is talking about Ron DeSantis being gay.
Guys, that it doesn't say anything in that. That
Stop a second.
bill.
But you don't think that denying that his intentions to hinder the gay community and the trans community? I'm 52 years old. Do you have any idea how many drag shows I've been to? I've never seen a minor in a bar at a drag show.
I agree. The drag shows.
You got to have this law that bans drag shows.
That's not
Meanwhile,
what the law did. Not what the law did.
Yes, it did.
No, it did not. Look at the bill specifically.
My friends are losing their liquor licenses because of Ron DeSantis.
That's not this bill. I'm not saying Ron DeSantis.
Yes, it is.
No, I'm not. Look at the bill. That bill specifically. You guys don't
stop trying to read the fine black and white print.
I'm not.
When you deal with interpretation in courts, that Ron DeSantis, the guy who you admitted is authoritarian, controls, there's too much gray area. It's not black and white.
Okay, then.
And that's what they're using to marginalize a growing segment of this state.
So wait, so Blake, can I just ask your question then? Like, what? Okay, here. If let's just take all the language that we're using, the verbs, the nouns, whatever we're using to describe it. What is your interpretation of two dads with kids and their ability to talk about that to their friends or in school, bring pictures of their family structure, and have that conversation happen? Just let me ask your opinion.
Yeah. So that bill did not cover anything about that.
That is not what I asked, Billy.
Yes, it did.
No,
that is not what I asked.
No, the reason
is not what I asked.
Here's the reason it matters. The reason it matters is because that bill got labeled "Don't Say Gay" bill, and it never had anything about that. What it was about was at what point is sexual material appropriate for what ages? And it said that you can't talk about any sexual stuff whatsoever. The teachers under third grade. This was like kindergarten through third grade. And then it was like, these are the things that are appropriate for third to sixth grade. And these are the things that are appropriate for high school. That's what that.
Why are teachers
I get that, yes.
And why are teachers getting fired for allowing gay conversations about exactly what Matt's talking about?
I would like, can you show me the evidence that someone was fired for something from that specific bill?
Yes, it's happening.
I don't.
And we talked about the gray area a second ago. What about book banning?
Well, I don't think it's really book banning. It's moving. It's the same thing. It's saying this book.
We are really trying to grab everything into this conversation instead of just talking about the exact thing.
Right.
And I am on Blake's side with this. I never said gay. It wasn't a "Don't Say Gay" bill. That is honestly political.
That's
100%.
No,
but again, it is.
Okay.
But it is absolutely targeting that. Absolutely. And then if you have family structures that are not traditional family structures, this is becoming a point of attack. And I think that is, and again, from what Pete Buttigieg was trying to say is this is my family. And this, if this can't be welcomed in the classroom, then you're basically not welcoming my family.
But that's not what that was. That's my point is that what's happening.
That's what his point is. I don't care about your point. I'm asking you your opinion on that conversation for anything under third grade. That is what I'm asking you. Can you just answer the question, Blake?
I don't think there was ever anything that said a child could not.
That is not what I'm asking. I'm asking your opinion. I don't care about what is in the
go to a break.
Asking you your opinion.
My opinion.
Blake, have an opinion and have a stance. Go for it.
No, my opinion is that there's never been anything that said a fourth grader.
Jesus Christ, man, that's not what I'm asking.
But that's what matters here. What I'm talking about. You're trying to turn around and say what? Okay, do the commercial break and we can come back.
I'm just asking your opinion. Your opinion.
This is why I'm
not
going
your interpretation of Ron DeSantis' opinion. I'm asking your opinion, sir.
1490 WWPR 99.1 WDJY Yergz Radio, Rainbow Radio. We call it Rainbow Radio because we can't say gay. We'll be back up with these words. Do you have a podcast? Of course you do. It's probably one of the reasons why you listen to us. Well, I got something for you. Flowsend.ai. All you do is take your pre-recorded data, click, drag, and drop right into the inbox for Flowsend AI. Click a button, and out comes everything that you're going to need. From the transcript to content such as keywords, titles for your episode, the timeline, posts for LinkedIn, posts for Twitter, Instagram, other smaller platforms, all the things that it takes you hours to do in literally minutes. So go to flowsend.ai. Tell them Yergz sent you and get your subscription today. Worth every penny. Flowsend.ai. What did you notice about that, Matt? Where'd he go?
I don't know. I got back just in time too. I was getting water.
There it is. Yeah, I just did that one. We'll put the others on if I can edit it later, or at least in the comments. You're muted, Matt.
How about we change topics so we're not arguing about the same damn thing for 45 minutes?
That's fine.
That's what I was thinking as while we were in the break. I was like, that was supposed to be an intro to various things and how that one speech actually tied into so many other things that we were going to talk about today.
Well, see,
I think we're lucky that we're actually remote, because it's possible that we would have been fighting through that one.
No, there's no way.
I like that. But I don't think so either.
I would have jumped over the table at Blake. Blake would have got me in a headlock. I would have called in Yergz, tagged him in. He would have been eating crackers somewhere.
Guys,
I was just going to say, I'm eating lunch. Yeah.
Yergz is in Secret Service and you've got a leather jacket and ride a motorcycle. There's no way I'm physically going to be able to beat one of you guys up. There's just not.
Now, remember that. Respect, son. Respect.
Musician. I'm a guitar player. We're not cool.
And I'm the oldest one here, so go easy on me. I want to get to a story that each of you contributed during the week. Yeah. Oh God, more than just hips. I couldn't be eating crackers anymore. Anyway, I can't get in it, and never mind.
Oh, good
Lord. Matt, you gave us information about Fit 21.
Yeah,
the lobby.
Fit 20. Yeah, Fit 21 is actually an interesting thing. It's a crypto bill. It stands for and I'm going to pull this up here very soon because I can't remember it, the Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act. And basically what it's doing is giving guidelines for cryptocurrency and the industry in the United States. So what it classifies as security, what classifies as commodity, and how the different SEC, the CFTC are working together. Long story short, is it passed Congress with the help of 71 Democrats. Originally, everybody thought it was going to be like, a handful, a dozen to 20 Democrats. You could probably name them, off the top of your head who would be supportive. But 71 Democrats supported this bill. So therefore, it's going to the Senate. A couple of things that I think are very interesting. Number one is Biden said that he will not veto the bill if it does pass the Senate, which I think Biden probably is, first of all, politically smart. But obviously his team is calling the senators behind the scenes saying, like, don't pass this if he doesn't want to pass. But we'll see what happens with that bill in the Senate. Other one is being from Ohio, no Democrat in Ohio voted to pass this bill. And that's because, in my opinion, Senator Sherrod Brown is on the Banking Financial Committee of the Senate. He is not he's not a fan of crypto, and therefore you're not going to go against your senator that's running for office in this year, and he's up against Brian Marino, who is pro crypto. So there you have a division there. So anyway, it's a very good thing.
Not trip the vote, right? I mean, if you're not leaning it one way or another, you're just going to go with whatever works well for the person getting reelected.
There's no reason to. And the interesting thing about this crypto bill is crypto in general is that they're trying to make it, instead of a technology, it's trying to make it a political technology. And to be opposed, since it is mostly Republicans that are liking crypto in this industry, it's very easy. And I think a political, just a political easy, it's just low hanging fruit to say, hey, we don't like the thing because they like it. And therefore it's for criminals, it's money laundering, it's, for bad people, it's for terrorist action and whatever. So therefore it must be against it.
ATM machines.
Say what?
So are cash and ATM machines.
It's a little different, but is my understanding of this right, that they're basically saying no executive branch agency can make rules on crypto without Congress passing laws? Is that essentially what this said?
No, this is the actual guidelines that are saying, like, this industry is being, this is the rails that they're trying to regulate the industry. Right now, there aren't any rails. So it's like, what does a security and a commodity mean in terms of crypto, when it could actually fall into one, both, or none? And so, what is decentralized? If you have a decentralized, like, say, currency, then, or a token or whatever, how decentralized it does it have to be to not be a security, and how centralized does it have to be a security?
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? So if 50% of the token or 50% of the hash rate, the mining power, is held by one individual or company, is that centralized or decentralized? This bill clarifies all that.
Okay.
Essentially, this is basically putting into legislation the reason why Ethereum won their suit against the SEC, correct?
I don't know about the Ethereum. I don't know about an Ethereum lawsuit. I know the XRP law.
That's one.
XRP.
That one. Yes.
Yeah,
So,
they won a lawsuit there, because again, they're trying to classify as a commodity or a security. That's actually a little bit different, but it does clarify how they would fit in with that. And we just had a Ethereum spot ETF get launched, and the SEC approved that, so that's also very interesting.
Now, obviously, you're more versed on this than I am, even remotely. So, what's your opinion of, like, do you think this is the right direction for Congress to go? Do you think it's halfway there? I mean, I mean, I hate the stuff that you're talking about where it's like, we just knee jerk reaction. Well, if they're for it, I guess I've got to be against it. That seems to be the new just mode of politics now. If Trump says he's for something, everyone's got to be against it if you're against Trump. Same with Republicans and Democrats. And it's like, it just seems really dumb. But this seems like something that maybe that didn't happen on, which is hooray, something that people actually thought about.
So what we've had in the past is we had basically the bureaucracy infighting between different departments, trying to figure out, like, where does these things fall under, because you're getting a lot of congressmen, representatives, and senators taking their own stances and pressuring these different organizations, the CFTC, the SEC, and so on and so forth, to make regulations or to crack down on policies for this. And again, nobody knows what these new commodities or securities or companies are actually doing. And so this law in this bill is absolutely what we should be doing, and what we should have done probably a decade ago, once we realized that this is becoming a thing. The issue, I think, the interesting political issue here is that there's a lot of money now in the crypto space. Look, the crypto space is around $2.6 trillion today. And how much is that in America? And how many million billionaires do we have that? And what kind of money is consolidated here? That money is getting to work now in Washington. So I think that there's the temperament has come down with this, because there is a lot of money being pushed against, or for crypto bills now in Washington. So it's very interesting. This is exactly what should have been happening a long time ago if they got their shit together, to be honest with you.
Honestly, it just bothers me. The only thing that bothers me about any of it is that I think you're absolutely right, Matt, that the reason this is now getting attention and it leans more pro crypto is because of the money coming in from the pro crypto lobbying crowd. And that's really where everything happens in Washington now. Really, the only way to grease the wheels now, only way, because really the Republican Party has no party stance on any policies. They literally don't have a platform anymore. So it's really just about who can grease the wheels with money the most. And that seems to be what's always happened with pharmaceuticals. And it's always happened with, obviously, like, military industrial complex. It's always happened with, and I think that's happening in crypto too. And my only concern is ever that, like, I don't love when giant piles of money are the thing that are the main thing that are influencing stuff. So that's my only concern here. I think we do need to talk about it in Congress, but my concern is that because all the money is on one side of this argument, as it typically is, because it's not like there's an anti-pharmaceutical lobbying crew, right? Like, it's the pharmaceutical companies that have the lobbying power because they've got the money. I just think that's what's broken about Congress, is that we're
absolutely. And the last thing I do want to say about this is, I think that one for 100% right. This is not the way that legislation and policy should be written, and this is not how it should be working. But this is how it's working.
Yeah.
If you go back to the last,
be thankful for that right now.
If you go back to the last cycle, I think Sam Bankman-Fried, for worse, showed that a shit ton of money in politics can influence things and buy a lot of favor. And even though he's doing his 25 years, this was a great political experiment to say, hey, what happens if I just pump $100 million into Washington and really court some of these legislators? He showed that this is possible. He also showed that this money can win elections. People like Jasmine Crockett from Texas is only in her position because millions of dollars went into that election of hers and got her into Congress. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but it was a big help.
It was a huge reason for a lot. There was, I mean, the list of Democrats that benefited from the donations, which is why it was kind of so incestuous with the Sam Bankman-Fried stuff, is because it was like hard to go after him when he's bankrolling.
Exactly. And now, what we have is a conglomerate, if I could call it for a better word, of crypto, I would say, tycoons that have now started their own super PAC, and this is led by Coinbase. We have Ryan Selkis of Masari. We have the Winklevi, and so on and so forth. They're putting about $100 million behind a super PAC to do just that. Now they're putting that money and pumping it directly into Washington.
Yeah.
So things like the FIT 21 gets passed through Congress.
Yeah.
Is that how they actually call themselves in plural, the Winklevi? Because the first time I heard that was in the movie The Social Network.
I think that's we call them in the crypto space, the Winklevi.
I like that though. That's pretty clever.
Yeah, the Winklevosses.
Yeah, so that's my concern is this is I just want I'm always skeptical of, it sounds weird, like all of a sudden I'm skeptical of bipartisan stuff because I could just go like, well, I know the natural tendency is for everyone to just reflexively be against the thing that they ever want. So when I see bipartisan stuff, I go, who's paying for the bipartisanship at this point?
While we're ahead, something's getting done.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
One last thing about for crypto, Matt, don't know if you saw this, but where's the name? Kabosu, the Shiba Inu dog that is the poster child for Dogecoin.
Did he die? Did he die?
Passed away this week.
Oh, it's always sad when any dog mascot dies.
I want to. Can you fact check that, because I think that dog passed away probably 14 times already.
Is this real news? I have no idea. I wouldn't. I'm not on the corners of the internet that know these things.
I'm looking at the article right now from Fox 29 in Philadelphia. Kabosu, Kabosu, the Shiba Inu behind Doge, Meme, and face of Dogecoin, has died. The Japanese owner is a lady. The dog was a female. The owner was a female. She wrote some poem that was translated into English that does not read like a poem at all. And
probably not when you lose the translation. Often makes poetry not work very well.
This is really recent news. It's like a couple of hours ago. Yeah. Oh, so exactly.
Sad. Well,
so next up, Blake, you got it. You sent us one about the deadly force of MAGA. Oh, yeah, Lord.
I thought this would be the thing that I ranted for half an hour about, honestly.
Well, we can bring it back next week.
Yeah, so my touch on it will be, just because it's pretty current, is that I think that basically the short version of the long story, I guess not long story, is that MAGA World and Donald Trump are claiming that the unsealed warrant for the Mar-a-Lago, what they call raid, which I also think is not a proper word for what was going on there.
Yes, and the use of force thing.
Yeah, is the use of force thing, which every freaking, I'm sure Yergz, you would know, every single warrant is going to have, yes, of course you can use excessive force. If you are met with lethal force, you can use lethal force. But they coordinated with the Secret Service. They made sure they did it when Trump wasn't there. It's very obvious that this was not an assassination attempt by the FBI on Donald Trump, but that was what Trump and MAGA World are claiming it was. And what I think is so purposeful and dangerous about this is it is giving them an excuse, giving their side. They know exactly what they're doing. They are giving people with violent tendencies the excuse to be violent if things don't go their way over the next year, we'll say, or longer. And I think it's incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly gross. It's not true even a little bit that that's what this was saying. They even coordinated to make sure that, like I said, when you've got two law enforcement, you've got Secret Service, you've got FBI. The FBI did look. I've got a lot of crap to talk on the FBI. I think they've been egregiously bad at their jobs for the last decade, if not longer.
Do you understand how big the FBI is?
No, I know, but I'm saying
I have the same argument there as I do with defund the police. Oh, this one guy got shot by a bad cop. Do you have any idea how many times a guy gets shot by a good cop and nobody knows about it.
But the FBI has some structural and some leadership problems. I think it has been better under Ray. I think that he has improved some things, but they had some real rot going on. I think, but this is not one of the examples.
But my point about that is when I was in DC and my last assignment there was Reagan Airport, I'm talking with my FBI counterpart, the FBI guy at the airport, and he says, "Yeah, do you know we are dealing with a homicide investigation right now?" I'm thinking he's talking about here at the airport. An FBI agent whacked his neighbor.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. No,
and that never got out.
It happens sometimes.
I've never wanted to know. What I'm saying is that
he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. It happens sometimes because the FBI is so big.
Yeah.
That some knuckleheads get through.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about a couple agents.
The Secret Service. Hello.
Right, but the FBI has some bad structural issues. I think the Secret Service does too. I think that the Secret Service.
I got a story. I've got a story that I'm waiting till July to break.
So like these are those things that like I think the FBI has problems, but this was they did everything completely right. They made sure Trump wasn't there to try to pretend that the FBI was going to assassinate Trump, and they had a plan to is egregiously. It's so irresponsible of Trump. Not that I expect anything more from him, honestly, but I do not see how we get out of the end of this year with any violence from one side or the other. I mean, am I being overly pessimistic about that?
No. I had a epiphany last 2 nights ago. I was sitting there just thinking before I was going to bed, and I was like, oh, and I was thinking about Civil War. And because I was thinking about a civil war, and because I was looking at the Democrats and the Republicans that I talked to that are so staunch in their beliefs, and then how many people are retracting from all of this, and they don't want to have any part of it.
Right.
I think that we might actually be in a cold civil war, and I think that we're not talking about it.
Yeah, 100%.
But my worry is that it becomes
a hot civil war.
It doesn't take. I'm not saying we're gonna have two sides with armies, but it does not take. But like a crazy person that shoots up the baseball fields that's a Bernie Sanders supporter. I'm not saying Bernie Sanders caused that, but like that guy was unhinged and took some stuff too literally and decided I'm going to go try to kill congressman at this baseball game. And then you've got violence.
I don't know what you're talking about. That was a slow pitch thing or something.
Yeah,
was that Gabby Giffords? No, that was
no. This was in like Arlington, Virginia.
Oh, right. The congressional
baseball game.
Yeah,
it was a softball game. Yeah,
police, was the closest to actually dying out of the thing and stuff. So I mean, it was like my point is that happens. It doesn't take very many people to cause. We had the pipe bomb guy in Austin that was kind of right wing or whatever. But I mean, these are people that are unhinged. These are people that are normally mentally ill in some way, and then they are grabbing onto a culture war thing. And I think it's really the rhetoric on both sides is so bad. But I mean, Trump has ramped it up to a different level than anyone else has. And it just concerns me. I just don't think that we're going to get through the end of the year without at least one person on pick the side. I don't know that you can predict it. I mean, I would say it's more likely to come from the MAGA crowd, especially if Trump loses. I just think it concerns me.
It's, yeah, I got a connection as obviously, I don't think we're going to see another January 6th.
I'm not convinced we won't.
Not that there's not going to be like an effort, but I mean, to the degree where MAGA made the gains, literally battlefield gains that they did getting into the Capitol.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to see that this time around because it's going to be put down quickly.
Maybe not, but I also don't think you'll see it this time because right now I think Trump's going to win. But I mean, I think that we don't necessarily see violence from the left if that happens. I'm saying I think no matter who wins, I think you will see violence from the other side. I just don't see how it's when we've escalated the rhetoric so much. I think it's more likely to happen if Trump loses, obviously, than if Trump wins. But I'm still worried about it if Biden loses because when everything's framed as an existential threat, which I don't think is totally fair sometimes, you give permission to be violent because it's like if our country was actually being taken over, by who I thought were, if I really thought like maybe I would go to the Capitol and break into it if I thought there, you know what I mean? Like I'm fine with people being actually fighting for a real cause, but these aren't real causes. You know what I mean?
Can we edit that part out? Don't edit that. You're not okay.
Stop, dude. No. I think I'm going to keep that for in a safe place.
Yeah, keep that safe
I'm gonna be getting interviewed by the FBI in a couple of years and be like, so he said this on. How well do you know him?
But you know what I mean? Like I think that if there was a real, like post September 11th, or if we actually had, if a real civil war broke out or something like that, I hope that I would like fight for the country that I really believed in, like the real part that would be threatened. But I think right now there's so many people that
it's funny is Blake's like, I hope I fight for the real one. It's just like there's gonna be multiple real ones depending on what side you're on. It's like,
well,
first of all, hold on. We lost 1490 because it's actually after 1 o'clock.
That's fine.
So a quick goodbye to them. We'll see you next week. But I agree with Matt in that we're in a civil war now. It's just more modern than 1861 to 1865. It's online. It's in Congress. I mean, look at what these asshats did earlier this week or last week by delaying an actual committee hearing until 7 o'clock at night. 11 o'clock at night. Later in the workday after normal business hours, so they could go up to New York and kiss the Don's boots.
Yeah.
Only to come back drunk.
Right, but I mean, again, I don't want to use the term civil, like we're already in a civil war when, like, I think there needs to be violence or secession.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, but I mean, I agree that the rhetoric is really bad, but I think that is so outside of the purview of most people. Like most people in this country are never know that any of that stuff's going on because it's so online. And I agree that it's like, it's bad for the country. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying I don't.
Back in 1861, most people had nothing to do with that Civil War either.
Well, I disagree with that.
We were fighting the Civil War, and at the same time, part of our Navy was in New York Harbor entertaining the Russian Navy.
Yeah, but
did you know that?
Right, but that was a hot war going on. I mean, there was actually people killing each other at that point.
The Russian. You think people aren't being killed now?
There's not left and right.
I guess what I was trying to say by that statement is I think that it is a cold civil war where we have staunch sides that are clearly made and the opinions and the conversation has died, whereas therefore it doesn't matter. I don't think that there is any bridge between these two groups, and those groups are a small portion and a small fringe of each section of the parties or the ideologies, which is leaving a lot of Americans out, and they don't really care about this. But I do think that those people are already having that battle, like you said, like it's either online or whatever. Now, how do you radicalize that or turn that into hot? I think that again, you have
congressmen taking pictures saying standing back and standing ready.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that those are the kind of things. Right. I think that honestly, I do think that they're already priming the election fraud ideas.
Yeah,
that if Biden does win, that this is a stolen election. Yeah. These are the kind of things that are gonna prompt these people that already exist, that are already standing by on both sides to engage in something. I think that, but that's what I'm trying to say is like it's not like you have to build that coalition. That's there.
I think you're right, and I think that where you're right about it, I guess the way to think about it that makes more sense than you said that is like the original Cold War. It was that at any moment something could go bad and escalate to nuclear.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And I think you're right in that sense, and that like it's just going to take something. Now, I don't think anything potentially happens before November. I really think it's going to all hinge on the election specifically. But you know what I really don't like that Biden did this week that I think is really foolish is in the like debate little macho stupid thing that he and Trump did back and forth where they pretended they negotiated the terms of this debate on Twitter as if there wasn't a ton of behind the scenes stuff. Joe Biden's little "I hear you're free on Wednesdays." That's a great joke for inside the Situation Room at the White House. That should not become your slogan that you put on t-shirts, because it gives Trump the ammunition to say that like what you're doing is a political is a witch hunt, like that his Justice Department, even though it's New York, but you got to understand the perception of the normal American. I think that was a really gross thing for him and Democrats to do, because I think it adds fuel to that fire. And AOC's been on TV saying kind of the same thing. She said I had a line about like, that's basically like, it's like an ankle bracelet, you know, like, man, it's great. I think that, like, if I were Joe Biden, which obviously I'm not, I would shut that down so hard. I'd be like, look, we are never going to talk about Donald Trump's trials as if
He
it's
hasn't.
a victory
He
for us
has.
politically.
For as much as no, stop a second. For as much as he's been accused of weaponizing the Justice Department, he hasn't said shit.
But I agree. I think he had the right move, but that's why I'm saying this was such a bad move. I think that it gives, I don't understand how no one in the room, they must be so insulated from the real world that they thought that was a good idea to
Here's
literally
that's very frequent throughout many presidential administrations.
Yeah, but
here's an even better way to make sure that doesn't happen. How about we don't pay off a porn star and call it a legal expense?
Totally. Listen, I'm not
just thinking off the top of my head.
Moral behavior. I'm saying that Joe Biden should not wade into the court stuff at all, and he's done a pretty good job at doing it. But someone on his staff thought it was a good idea to be like, "This would be great to put on a T-shirt. I hear you're free on Wednesdays," and make that be a thing, a joke. It's a really bad look. And I think,
speaking of putting things on T-shirts, my pet peeve for this week was the bad built bleach blonde butch body comment from Jamie Crockett to Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
That's my pet peeve for the week.
As in a bad thing or a good thing, or that it was even had to be entertained?
Horrible thing. Like, okay, here's my issue really quick. Just changing topics. So they were having a congressional meeting, you know, people were in there, and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jasmine Crockett got into it. Marjorie Taylor Greene said something about her eyelashes or what, I don't know, and then she came back and said bleach blonde butch body, whatever.
So it wasn't that fast. Are you aware of that?
No, they were.
So what happened was no. What happened was I forget what started it, but Marjorie Taylor Greene said you can't see what's going on, probably because of your fake eyelashes or something like that. Basically making and I do agree, I think it was a racial dig, because more black women are known for wearing fake eyelashes to work than white women are.
I think that's a little bit of stretch, and I don't even want Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Okay,
that's
fine. So, maybe she said something about her weed too. I don't know.
Give her the benefit of the doubt here.
Regardless,
just her eyelash.
The whether it was or was not racial, it was a physical slam.
It's also stupid and inappropriate for Congress.
It's stupid and inappropriate for Congress. 100%.
So the next thing that happened was AOC steps up, makes a move to have the comments removed from the record. And Republican Jim Comey said no.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
I mean,
where I think she was in her right, she asked for the floor or whatever, and asked and gave that as a what if, a for instance. If I were to have said bleach blonde, blah, 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 would that be left in too? So she didn't say it.
I mean, she absolutely said it. And now she's selling merch and T-shirts.
Yeah, this is on purpose. All these things are doing, and the fact that we're talking about it is letting them win. And I hate all of these.
But this is what's making Congress a joke. I mean, this is why you have serious legislators wanting to step away, because this is first of all, two things. One thing. This is what Congress is turning into, the attention economy. Jasmine Crockett came out like immediately. Now she's a Democrat. Again, I'm saying that I don't like this behavior. She came out immediately and started selling merch with this.
Right, and that's why I don't like to pay attention to these people.
It's repugnant. That's the first thing. Second thing is like this is now purposely attacking people's physical appearance within, and this is honestly woman on woman. To try to, I don't know, create some. I just think it's it's not even classless. I think that it's really just not bad taste. I don't know. It's the
Real Housewives, but in Congress. That's what it is. This is It's gross. And this is why, I mean,
You're liking that word today.
There are no
I've never heard you say gross that many times.
It's because it is. It's disgusting behavior. It's beneath the institution. It rots.
I agree. It's beneath the institution, 100%.
The people that are serious there are leaving because of this kind of stuff. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, AOC, if I could get rid of them and Matt Gaetz and a handful of other ones, the whole institution would be better. There are like 8 people that I could get rid of, and it would make the whole rest of it better. And they're on both sides of the aisle, and both of them don't care about legislation. They have comms teams exclusively for the most part, because everything is about being on camera. Everything's about getting clips. Everything's about fundraising off of those clips.
100%.
It's 100%. Gross behavior.
So I agree with a lot of that, with one slight exception. AOC is actually growing on me. I think
she's growing up.
Yeah, exactly.
I think she's growing up. Honestly, I think she got put in her place a couple of times, and she's actually just standing back a little bit.
Yeah,
she's not that person.
She's gonna have to dig out of a big hole for me to take her seriously.
Because here's what I think.
We had a few conversations.
I think that she knows. I think that she knows that if she really wants to be a serious legislator and move her way up in the party, that she cannot be the person that's getting the clicks and making the stuff and wearing eat the rich to like the Met Gala, stuff like that. If she doesn't get away from that, she's going to be pigeonholed into that things. I think so. I think she's just pivoting.
Yeah,
and
but
people like Jasmine Crockett are taking up that again.
But we'll see how seriously it takes it, because the second she doesn't have that attention that she's used to getting, I wonder how long can it last? Because the truth is, being a serious legislator gets you this much attention.
Zero attention, 100%. I agree.
And that's why they're leaving. And unfortunately, I don't see a solve for that until people vote other people in. But like Marjorie Taylor Greene, even if she's a little bit on the outs, because I think some of her antics actually did piss off her own party enough that they were like, same thing with AOC. I think there were enough people that kind of went, you are actually damaging us more than you're helping. The problem
is AOC listened to them.
Maybe right. I just don't see maybe she's being more grown up now, but like I've not seen her be super serious about a lot of stuff. She's been more serious, I agree, over the last year than she was before, but like I want to see her call out the squad. She's not going to do that. So like I want to see, like that's what I want to see from serious legislators. I want to see them call out their own side when they're behaving this way. And I'm not seeing that yet from anyone. And I'm not saying that like,
well, I think what you said there is, and I don't want to be that guy that always disagrees, but what you're saying is like call them out for the ideology that she believes in. But it's the way that they are expressing their ideology. So she's not going to call them out because she agrees with the ideology. But the way that you express said ideology is what's the cliquey sort of thing. And
she's going to be a leader and say, "Hey guys, we got this. We can't say it like MTG does. We got to, take the higher road." And that's where she's going from being the loudmouth that Maggie is to a leader that Aunt Nancy taught her how to be. And she's not there yet. She's not Hakeem Jeffries. She's not Chuck Schumer. But that's what I was saying when you guys, I agree. If you're the serious legislator, you don't have a camera in front of your face 24/7 until you become Hakeem Jeffries, Mitch McConnell.
Exactly. I think she made a very good, honestly, if you're looking at this, and again, I have no clue, but fundraising is a huge part of being in leadership. And that's why, McCarthy's there. That's why Jeffries is there. That's why Pelosi's there. And AOC raises a ton of money.
And MTG is the Republican version of her, for sure. Like as far as MTG raises a ton of money.
They raise a ton of money. Now, if she could continue to raise that ton of money and then pivot into being, that's exactly what they're looking for, is to see who could raise it.
I think the problem is the fundraising is all about small donors now, which is about being as combative as possible. And so she can't be a serious legislator and a big fundraiser at the same time. I don't think it's possible anymore in the current climate.
I think she can do it, and I think that's the difference.
She's still backing anti-Semitic bills. I don't think it's going to happen, guys. I don't think she's
again. Oh, so she's not going to get AIPAC money, so therefore she's not going to get.
No,
she's going to get the money.
I think that like
she and Maggie were both raising money because they're both loudmouths.
Yeah, and I think that's and
AOC is still raising money.
It's not going to work.
AOC is still raising money because she switched into serious business. and Maggie's losing money because people are tired of her loud mouth.
Yeah, you have to, you can be a loudmouth and then but not be, somebody that's cringy that you don't want to be around. That's
Yeah.
different. Like
Yeah.
Trump does it in a way where people like to be around him
Fetterman.
still. I don't know how he does it.
Fetterman's a loudmouth, but he's also getting shit done.
Oh, and Fetterman, yeah, actually, Fetterman's a great example. He is a loudmouth that people love to be around, and he's
No,
raising
but
a crap ton of money too.
But here's the difference. Fetterman has taken a turn for seriousness, in my opinion. Like, unlike AOC, I think actually I will agree that I was wrong about Fetterman going into it in the sense that he's been the only sane person there going like,
You
calling
really
out
put a lot of
people
your
that-
own personal value judgments on seriousness, though. I'm talking about overall behavior. You're talking about policy.
and
Yeah.
I think, but I'm saying he surprised me on both.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Like,
I mean, he's still not wearing a suit.
That bothers me to some degree because
Yeah,
I think it
I agree.
diminishes the institution. I don't love that part about him, but I wish he would just put on the monkey suit and be like, and just like fall in line, because I think there are some things that we should do that are bigger than the individual. And I think that's my one beef with Fetterman is that, like, dude, put on the suit.
Just like the demonstrations on college campuses, you made your point. Now get back to class.
Well, it's not even that. It's that it's like I like.
Point.
But my point is, I think he's been a good voice for like calling out the absolute lunacy that's on the far left of the anti-Semitic kind of stuff. And to be fair, because he's in Pennsylvania and he's polling really well in Pennsylvania. I think Joe Biden should have taken a page from Fetterman because Fetterman's polling a lot better in Pennsylvania than Joe Biden is. And I think it's because people want someone to take a principled stand, even if sometimes they don't agree with that stand. I don't agree with a lot of Fetterman's policy ideas, but I believe he's being genuine about them. He's not trying to fundraise off of them. He's not trying to be bombastic. I think most of his policies I would disagree with, but I absolutely agree with his ability to come out and say, hey, what's happening on the far left of my party is gross. And I wish more people on the right would be able to do that. Unfortunately, the person they would have to call out is Donald Trump. And you can't do that on the right now without being completely ostracized. And so Fetterman's a great example of someone who I think is
Yergz. You saw that he used his word again today. Gross.
Yeah.
Gross.
Unfortunately, I need to get a thesaurus this week and go through it and find some new words for gross, because I probably do need to have a more extensive vocabulary for my feeling towards this.
Next week we're gonna have a gross counter.
Let's do.
Hey guys, can we talk about one more thing before we go? If you have 5 more minutes, I really want to talk about this CBDC thing. By the way,
okay, but that's what I was talking about earlier, right? Explain it. Is that the thing that does the anti? Explain it first.
So a CBDC is a central bank digital currency, and Congress passed a bill that said that the Federal Reserve will not make a central bank digital currency and deploy it to the public
without Congress, right? That's the thing that I was talking about earlier, right? Where the Congress could choose to do that, but the Fed can't. Isn't that the gist of it?
I think that's the gist of it, and anyway, it's just not the Fed cannot do it in themselves. It can be part of, but they can't do it themselves. And that passed on partisan lines, by the way. And I thought that was really big because if we don't know what a CBDC is, a central bank digital currency is basically the digital dollar. And because of the crypto space, we found out that technology can do a lot of things when it comes to currency and transactions of value, meaning that you can have programmable money. And what does that mean? It means that you can basically program money to be active in certain cases, in certain situations, in certain industries for a certain time period. It can be, programmed to unlock and lock at certain times.
I mean, is this an overly simplistic view of it? It's basically a digital version of the WIC program in some way. Like in the sense that you could restrict it to a specific like territories or specific use cases, right? I mean, that's what part of the idea behind a centralized digital currency would be something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, yes, but even more so, it's like you could really niche down. For example, like when we're doing COVID, one of the examples that we use in the crypto space a lot is like if you were doing, the dropping that money to everybody during the COVID time to get that stimulus, you could say, hey, we're gonna drop everybody $600 to your bank account and only be able to be used in the hospitality industry because the restaurants are hurting.
Yeah,
and the currency camp, and we could only, and you have 2 weeks to use it.
Yep.
And so therefore it's on and it's off. Therefore, and also, surveillance is a huge thing too. So the ability to surveil like that as well. So it's like it puts a lot of control on money. And
Yeah.
so anyway, long story short, that did not pass. That the law that restricted the Federal Reserve to make a centralized digital currency was blocked, and that was on partisan lines.
Yeah. Because
I'm actually really I'm upset that it was on partisan lines, but it is on partisan lines.
But I mean, so, and this is, I would love to talk more about this. I would love to, Matt, have you on and talk about on my show about like an entire show about the crypto stuff, because I think there is some really interesting stuff to think out. Because this was an idea that I heard someone float. I think it was Bill O'Reilly in like 2008, about like, look, here's how you should do stimulus money. If you're really going to try to stimulate the economy, he was basically saying, do that. This is pre obviously all the crypto stuff, but he was saying, make it a debit card that like, if you send it to everyone in the country and they choose not to spend it, that $600 just disappears basically after a certain amount of time, and then it can only be used. Like, he was basically trying to solve for this in a way that would say like, okay, if we want to stimulate the economy, we have to make sure that people don't just save it or don't spend it on a thing that doesn't help. Because that's really, now part of the problem is you still have inflationary problems, but this is an interesting thing to talk about. But I also don't want the government to be able to track spending in a way that would be nefarious, or potentially say, oh, you've got to spend it on black owned, because let's say you have someone that wants to do the DI kind of stuff, and it said, well, it has to be a black
owned. That's interesting. I didn't think about that.
And I think there's some really weird stuff. And what my point is always is that you should never pass a law or have any kind of system in place that you wouldn't want your worst enemy controlling. And what bothers me about everyone's state of mind is they just think that, well, we're going to be in power forever now. That's what happens every time someone gets elected lately. It's like, well, we better swing for the fences. And what they end up doing is giving permission structures to the next administration that might be worse than them. It might be better. We don't know. That's the problem, is we can't predict the future. My point is, you should not give anyone control over something like that,
right,
that you wouldn't want Donald Trump to have control over.
And I think that this is a good idea, and honestly, it's a good signal that this should not be coming from the Fed, but honestly, it shouldn't be coming from anybody. And I think that that's when we come into basic privacy laws, where they're not robust enough or actually comprehensive enough to the digital environment that we live in. And Congress needs to
react. I mean, it's just like
Congress needs to pass privacy laws, because at the end of the day, I mean, Chase, as we know, or Chase or banks, they're selling your data to advertisers.
Yep.
Your transaction data, your credit card, your debit card, and so on and so forth. In my opinion, there's nothing different than the CBDC existing and Chase doing the same thing with your data. Of course, we could have it's a private company, sort of thing, and you have a choice to use it or not. You really don't. Banking is banking.
The government can coerce me to do things, and Chase can't. That's the big difference. Is that a government?
But the banking sector can, because you can't be unbanked.
Yeah, but I can go to a local bank. I'd say I'm not on a national bank, and I want.
No, but that's the banking sector. I mean, meaning saying that if the rules exist that they can sell your data and go into your privacy, which your purchases, your transaction history is absolutely private information, and sell that data to advertisers. It doesn't matter if Chase is doing it or your local bank is. It's still something that's allowed to happen.
No, and I'd be fine with having restrictions on that kind of content. I'm just saying that it makes me extra nervous if the government can do that, because the government is. You know what I mean? I can't take my business.
But here, my opinion on this is I don't think that there's a difference, because again, the backdoor to either of them is just the private company is just the wall between the government and everybody else. So the government. You're trying to tell me like Jamie Dimon, the CEO of Chase, isn't hanging out with like government officials and going like, "Hey," and they're actually manipulating or telling this data, or the FBI, or so on and so forth.
We know absolutely. We know that's
happening.
We know that. And so the government has gotten data from private companies to get around them not being able to do it legally. Like they buy it, or they buy that information. Like that is
they use a data broker, and they're like, "Hey, we'll just get it that way."
Now, like I think that law passed that said they couldn't do that anymore. I don't remember, but it is. I'll use a different word. Scary. I don't know. I don't like the idea that the government can get around things like free speech rights and or Fourth Amendment rights because they go, well, I don't need to get a warrant if I just buy the data from the credit card company or the cell phone company or whoever. Or, you know, we've got backdoor deals with the NSA, with the AT&T and stuff that let us get that information from Americans without a warrant. Yeah, those kind of things need to change. I think the problem is that Congress, because they're not very serious, and the ones that are serious are I think are taking this stuff very seriously. It's just the problem is they're so far behind and there's so few of them that actually understand the technology at all, that's what bothers me, is that really, you know, you look at any of these hearings that have been on these kind of things and they're embarrassing, the questions that are getting asked, when I'm like, you guys had a staff that could prep you for this, right? I mean, like, you shouldn't be asking that stupid of a question to Mark Zuckerberg or whoever it is that's in front of you. I think
the thing,
yeah, it's just
the thing was with this, and I do want to give the congressman, or first of all, if you're a policy wonk or a political wonk, most of these people aren't tech guys. I'm on the trail all the time, and there's very few people that actually understand anything about tech, or actually care anything about. But I understand that you can, but
it's their job. They need to learn about those things.
I
You know
get
what I mean?
that. I'm agreeing with you, Blake.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
There's very few people that do that, and I think that's kind of the issue, is we have people that are really skewed in one way, but don't really pay attention to everything else that's going on that makes them good legislators.
And that's okay, because we have committees to solve for that. Like, if you know more about agriculture, I hope you're on the agriculture committee. I hope that if you are more into the technology stuff, you are on the committees that actually deal with that. We don't need every member of Congress to know everything about every subject. That would be a ridiculous notion. But we do need them to start specializing, and we need more people that are specializing in some of the technology things, because they're happening really fast. And I think that's where our global problems are going to be, is competing with China and Russia on something like the satellite thing that launched this week. I think is another really scary, like, technological, you know, that's a little bit more war military kind of thing. But the point is, like, I think we need serious people that specialize down in these committees. And I think one of the problems with the committees is that for all the ones that don't have national security implications, they are letting cameras in there. I just think nothing's ever actually, I think it's another place to be performative. I think we should get cameras out of committee hearings.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Because I think that they are, when you look at what was happening, when you go back to the 90s, Yergz, when you're talking about like stuff was getting done, it's because pre-C-SPAN, you could actually like make deals. And I think that now you can't get caught on camera saying some of the stuff that I think these people actually believe, and they're actually scary, because they realize it's either going to get them primaried, or like, because right now you can't be a Republican seen working with a Democrat. You can't be a Democrat seen working with a Republican. That's like, unless it's on an 80-20 issue in the country, you just can't be seen doing that. You get vilified for that. You, like, James Langford did what he was asked and then got hammered by Republicans for doing what he was asked to do on trying to do a border bill. And because he did the behind the scenes stuff, and we see all the stuff that's worked so far has basically been outside of those committee hearings. We see the legislation that tends to actually happen is because they were like, we're not going to talk about this to like anyone. It's in a really tight group so that the details don't leak out and it gets torpedoed before we even get the chance to get anything done. That's a bad way to run the country. And we've got to figure out a better way to let Congress actually do their jobs without the magnifying glass of cameras and hyper partisan people, you know, looking at like for any little mistake so they can like vilify that person. I think that these are real problems. And like, and crypto's not so much like a national security threat, but it is one of those things we should have real open debate about. Like, this is something I want to see. I do want to see cameras eventually, and I want to see more curiosity from legislators. I want to see more people that go, I don't understand this, and I would like you to explain like this. And I want to push back on like, well, couldn't it be used for this? And like, I want to see those discussions, but I don't want to see it in like the committee.
It looks like Blake is coming to vote for Deemer for Congress. That's what it sounds like.
Well, I think that would be an illegal vote. I think that would be me voting from Oklahoma for someone in Ohio would be the MAGA world would freak out and say that it's widespread voter fraud.
Wait, I thought they had this system set up. Can't we just bus you Oklahoma people in?
Well, that's only if I'm apparently an illegal alien that's happening.
Oh, okay.
Allegedly,
I gotcha.
Even though they've got no proof of any of this happening, that's apparently the goal. I mean, no, all that election stuff is nonsense. But yeah, it would be nice if people took it more seriously, and I think that it would be nice to have more.
Yergz is tuned out. He's done.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah,
But you know what I mean?
He's done.
I was looking for another. Well, hold on a second. I was looking for another story because I saw when I was pulling up Matt's story, I saw something about MGT or MGT, whatever, TG, whatever.
I always mess that up too for some reason.
I know.
I don't know why I want to say MGT all the time. I did it with Ruth Bader Ginsburg and
MGT is a car.
Maybe
MG.
Well, there's MGK.
I do it with Ruth Bader Ginsburg too because RGB is colors, and I the initial thing that AOC is the only one I can keep straight. That's the only one that makes sense to me. The rest of the initial ones, my brain.
Anyway, I came across another one that I was as the Microsoft thing goes through the news. It's a long list of actors who died at the age of 27.
Yes, the 27 list.
And one of them is the one that played in the Chris Pine Star Trek movies.
Yeah.
It's
Scotty.
Chekhov.
Yeah.
No,
really
Chekhov.
sad.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. That was terrible. He got pinned by his own car. It was terrible. It was awful.
Ugh.
Normally it's drug related with the 27 Club.
Yeah, there's a bunch of fentanyl all over.
It's almost always drug related.
Lots of depression and
suicide. But yeah, that one was super, super sad because it was like he just like got crushed by his own car, and
well,
crazy accidents happen. All right,
so have a great weekend, everybody.
Yeah, have a good weekend. On that Memorial Day weekend, everyone.
Holiday
weekend.
Exactly.
First summer holiday. I'm excited. Going to the lake.
Okay, what about you, Matt? What are you doing?
Man, I don't even know what I'm doing this afternoon. Come on now.
He's not playing in that.
No, it's Memorial Weekend, so it's big campaign weekend.
Yeah, well, enjoy, fellas.
Good luck with everything, guys. Be safe.
All right, have a good one.
We'll talk to you over the week. All right, everybody, we're out. That's it for those of you still listening, which is a lot, actually. See you again. I don't want to do that. This is kicking my ass.
You've changed. You know that?
Yes, I suppose I have. How about this? Peace, love, dope.
From iHeart Podcasts.
What the hell is going on in here?
Everyone has their limits.
I'd never confronted a situation like this.
The numbers were being inflated and lied about and conflated.
I just thought it was just a really terrible, immoral thing for him to do.
A line they won't cross.
I was stunned, and I just said to him, no.
We're killing people. What exactly are we doing here?
I remember him saying, in this 007 evil villain kind of way, this is the beginning of a process.
You may never have to face that decision. When you find yourself at that line,
thoughts racing, hearts racing, emotions are all over the place.
They could be harassed, they could be imprisoned, they could be killed.
Somebody needs to just, for once, give everybody the whole truth.
I'm like, this is evil.
and the only person who can sound the alarm is you.
She folded it up, put it in her pantyhose, and walked out of the building.
Yeah, I really am the world's dumbest criminal.
These are the whistleblowers.
I wasn't just going to sit silently by.
I was told you take your questioning black self and get it on up out of my facility because you're trouble.
The message is, if you are disloyal, if you speak out, you will pay.
This is what it's like when the president decides he wants to destroy you.
Bad things are going to happen to him.
You're an anti-American. You are a
disgrace to our country. He should be prosecuted.
When power corrupts, conscience is the last line of defense.
Is it ever too late to do the right thing?
We talk about institutions, but they're really about individual people.
The responsibility drops in everybody's lap.
I'm Miles Taylor. The Whistleblowers premieres Thursday, July 13th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Check out Miles Taylor and the Whistleblowers. I've referenced that plenty of times throughout Up the Middle, Both Sides Now, and Yergz Tonight. He does an excellent job telling the stories of various people who blew the whistle on the Trump administration and their reasons why, personal and professional, as well as the consequences that these people paid to get the truth to the public. Check out the Whistleblowers on Apple, iHeart, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. The July date that he mentioned is from 2023, and season 1 is complete. It's excellent, and it's still very relevant, probably now more than ever. So I certainly recommend that you give it a look. See you again.
Mm-hmm.